Hey 3rd grade, this is Mr. Adamski, and today we're going to be taking a look at how to use dialogue in our writing. So here are our learning goals. By the end of this lesson, we should be able to 1. Be able to define what dialogue is, 2. Use dialogue in sentences, and 3. Edit writing to include proper use of dialogue. So let's start with a knowledge check. What do you know about dialogue? What is it? Dialogue is what a character says in a story. The character's words are surrounded by quotation marks. A statement requires a comma at the end of the character's words, followed by the quotation marks. Questions or exclamations should always be followed with question marks or exclamation points, depending on the type of sentence. And when you go to enter in your quotation marks, if you're writing with a pencil or pen, you can just write in the quotation marks. But if you're typing it in on a keyboard, you have to hold down the Shift key first and then press the quotation mark key. It should be somewhere on your keyboard right there. So let's take a look at some examples of dialogue. Let's take a look at this paragraph and you tell me where you see the dialogue. When I opened the door, I saw my mother. Her arms were crossed and she looked at me with an expression that told me that I was in trouble. And just where do you think you're going, young man? I froze in my tracks. Nowhere, Mother. I was just going to get a glass of water, I answered, hoping that she would believe me. Go directly to bed this instant. I will bring you some water. And don't leave your room, she shouted in suspicion. Now, if you take a look at each of these sentences, I include one of each. The first highlighted section is a question. And notice how I ended the sentence with a question mark and then the quotation marks. You never want to put the punctuation after the quotation mark. Now the second sentence over here, where the boy answers, it is a statement. And that statement, as you can see by the end next to water, is a comma. The only time you ever end sentences in commas is when it's a statement inside of dialogue. And finally, the last example is a combination of statements and exclamations. The statement in the middle of the sentences still ends with a period, but then the exclamation at the end of the dialogue is still ending with an exclamation point. So just to review, the only thing that's different with regard to punctuation is with statements. Statements end in commas unless another sentence follows them. Alright, now in this next section we're going to play a quick little game. So in this section you'll be shown some sentences. It's your job to identify which part of the sentence is the character dialogue, and you're going to add quotation marks in the correct spots. So let's go ahead and take a look at the first one. Can you bring me my car keys? My sister shouted from the garage. I jumped out of my bed and grabbed her keys from her bedroom. I'll be right down, I replied. Go ahead and add in the quotation marks. Remember, if you're typing at home, hold down the Shift key and then press the quotation mark key. Let's try another one. What is your favorite sport to play, Jimmy? The teacher asked. I like basketball, Jimmy replied. Let's take a look at one more. Why don't you ask him to join us on our adventure? Carly asked. I looked at her with surprise. But of course! That's a great idea! Alright, boys and girls, let's take a quick recap. In this lesson, here's what we covered. We covered what exactly dialogue is, and how dialogue is used in a sentence. We also learned how to structure each type of sentence with dialogue. For example, statements have commas at the end of the sentence. Questions still have question marks at the end of the sentence, and it's also the same for exclamations. They still end with exclamation marks. Alright, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.